You're listening to the Valley Current.
Welcome into the Valley Current. My name is Jack Russo. I'm the managing partner of Computer Law Group, and I'm so lucky and happy to have with me Fade Ogunro. And you are one of the amazing success stories in progress of Unicorn, who we just had one of the founders and CEO people here, which is Toye, Dr. Toye, I call him. And I saw you in action last night at the White & Summers office. A good friend of mine, Mark White, has the Africa House that he's building, a little incubator in Redwood City.
Yeah, the launch of the Africa House.
And what was so beautiful is they had you first, because you have an amazing presence.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I have to say, I didn't want to say that among all the others, but you should know you would have won.
Really?
In my vote. You would have won because you had, well, first of all, you were the only woman, right?
Yes.
That's number one. Number two is you have an amazing presence in front of a crowd, and they got a huge crowd. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Mark pulled all the stops, took over his entire second floor of his office in a big space. There was no parking available. I had to park like 3 blocks away, which is why I was late.
Was that busy?
It was busy, yeah, and people were buzzing in a way that you don't even see as much in Silicon Valley. Years ago you did. I've been in Silicon Valley now for 40 years.
Oh, wow.
4 decades. So I've seen
That's a long time.
Exactly. People are like, you're getting old, Jack. But the truth is I've seen 5 to 6 different iterations of Silicon Valley from the beginning of personal computing. As I said last night, my old firm, bless their soul, they're still around, still doing quite well, Fenwick and West. We started Apple Computer, literally, Jobs and Wozniak.
Oh, the computer in the reception.
We have some of the original.
Yeah,
we have like the original Apple. Exactly, we have a little museum here because we get all the sort of stuff that doesn't work.
That's awesome.
And so you did extremely well with a company you've started that's called bookingsafrica.com. And I thought inviting you on to talk about where you got the inspiration, how you found Unicorn or how they found you. Tell your story because you're still very young. You've had a career doing other things.
Oh,
so
definitely.
Talk about that. And now you're a tech entrepreneur, which is great.
It's been a bit of a whirlwind journey, and I never thought that I would actually be in the tech space because it's nothing that I had actually planned. And to be honest, my life has never been anything that I planned.
Yes.
I'm just one of those hard-working solution providers.
Yes.
And I'm like, there's a problem here. How can I make it better?
Yes.
What can I do? And I just give it my all.
Well, that's beautiful.
So thank you. So my background, first of all, I've got a very strong English accent.
Yes, I noticed it. Let me tell you something. I had, in the original iteration of this firm, a British female barrister partner. She's now unfortunately deceased, but Daryl Nelson had tried like 600 cases in England. She was an amazing trial lawyer. She came to the U.S. I partnered up with her. She and I did many trials together. Mark Nelson, her husband, is still a good friend, still around. I talk to him every so often because he's still very insightful about how things have evolved in Silicon Valley. But Daryl and your voice are almost identical. Just so you know,
way.
I'm going to send this podcast to Mark, and he's going to say,
wow.
that sounds like Daryl. Small world. I have to tell you that story.
Oh, wow. That's so interesting.
Yes.
So basically, my mum is actually half British. She's half English, half Nigerian, and my dad's Nigerian. So I was born in Lagos, and about the age of 7, my whole family, apart from my dad, we all moved to the UK. Stayed in Wales for a little bit because my grandma still lives around there, and then moved to London and did everything with my education. Primary school, secondary school, A-levels, university, and then I worked briefly for Google for a couple of years.
In England?
In England. And then I kind of fell into that. Do you want to know that story?
Yes, of course.
Right. Like, I fall into everything that I do.
Nice.
I don't think I've ever applied for a job.
Well, you've got like the John Lennon, life just progressed.
Yeah.
He has a famous line like, life happens while you're planning other things.
Exactly.
Like, it's
that's
very
really
famous
what
line.
happened.
Yes.
So I studied journalism, creative writing in Spanish, and I had this amazing dream that I was going to be the next editor of Vogue.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
It never.
Of course,
worked
magazines
out.
are going out of business,
Exactly.
but you didn't realize that.
I didn't realize that at the
right.
time. I was just like, I get to get free designer clothes.
Yes,
this is
there
the
you
job
go.
I want.
Yeah, and people should know we're not getting the full presence that she had last night, but she had quite an outfit on, and on that alone, she won against all the competitors. 5 different companies pitched, and she was number one, the only woman, and definitely the best dressed.
That was actually quite strategic.
Yes.
I was like, if these potential VCs or judges are
Yes.
going to remember one thing
Yes.
about me, they're going to remember my outfit.
Yes, exactly.
If I don't make an impression with my pitch, my outfit's going to do that for me.
You did it. You did it. You did it on all scores, so congratulations.
Yes, thank you. So I actually wanted to be a fashion designer at some point. When I was leaving university, I was designing loads of clothes for my peers, my colleagues, and I thought, how can I actually reduce my overheads? Because obviously you're a student, you're not going to have money to rent a store and hire staff.
Yes.
And I thought, let me learn how to maybe just have a little pop shop and advertise my store online.
Okay.
Or advertise my brand online. So then I wanted to do the Google AdWords exam.
Right.
And then I studied Google AdWords, and then I found it really easy, and then I made friends in Google, and they were like, actually, you did really well in the exam. Have you ever thought about working for Google? I was like, not really, but if you're offering me a job, hey, why not?
Okay.
And literally one thing led to another, and then I started working for Google.
Nice.
And I was just like, then a couple of years later, I was like, you had a dream to be a fashion designer.
Yeah, what happened to that?
What happened to that?
Right.
Can I still do that?
Yes.
And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to go to Nigeria because my dad owns an ad agency, an advertising agency in Nigeria. And
old school agency or digital agency?
Old school agency.
Old school.
So they did a lot of jingles, a lot of TV ads.
Right.
Really
Mad Men. There's a famous TV program called Mad Men. Right.
So he's actually a copywriter.
Okay.
And he's founded about 3 ad agencies that are really popular across West Africa. So majority of the multinational brands and all the politicians and presidents, a lot of them used my father. Mm-hmm. So I've always kind of been in the media and fashion kind of space. And my mom actually was a fashion designer in Nigeria.
Nice. So it's quite a... So it's in your DNA. Yes, it's in your DNA. Yes.
And then I decided I'm going to go to Nigeria for a year, and I'm going to set up something and just figure out what I want to do, because I didn't really apply for the Google job. It just kind of fell. So I wanted to find myself, And I never took a gap year at university, and I thought this would be my time to live off of Dad's money.
Your dad was okay with that.
Yeah, because I hadn't lived in his house since I was 7 years old. So he was like, you know what? Yeah, come over to Nigeria, figure out yourself for like a year or so.
But it's still a big transition back, right? Going back to Nigeria after you've lived in London or in England.
Oh, it was crazy. Everybody thought I was insane, and then they realized, oh, yeah, she is insane, so it suits her perfectly.
Okay. When did you do that? How old were you when you moved back?
I was 24,
and
that was 10 years ago.
Okay, so you look really young. You look like you're still in your 20s.
I got ID'd yesterday for a glass of wine, and I felt so good. I was like, wow, I love America. You guys ID me. That's so good.
That's a big tip generation, right? That's what they do all the time. You give a bit of course.
I was like, I like you.
Of course, he was probably flirting with you too.
Actually, I had drank a bit, so maybe I didn't notice.
There you go.
I'm actually quite bad at picking up flirting cues.
Okay.
But anyways, that's sidetracking.
Okay.
So I then went to Nigeria, and I thought I'm going to figure out myself about a year.
Yes.
That was 10 years ago.
Okay.
My brother is a very famous director in Nigeria, so he shoots a lot of TV commercials, music videos for all the top artists, and he lives in London. So in 2010, 2011, I was like, do you know what? I want to run this production company because I've had so much experience working with my dad in the ad agency and with my brother in his production office in the UK.
Okay.
So between my dad's ad agency and my brother's production company, I was like, okay, I actually think that production suits my temperament and my skill sets perfectly because it merges the creative part of my brain. I think that's the left side, and then the right side is like the business, strict, financial.
detailed, very detailed. A lot of people can't bridge the two. Like, you're bridging the two.
I need to, because I get bored so easily. So I kind of need something that's constantly challenging, and production for me was the answer, because 1 minute I'm shooting a documentary for Microsoft or GE, the next minute I'm shooting a TV commercial for like L'Oreal, the next minute I'm shooting a music video in the village for some guy. You know, so it was so diverse. Every day was completely different, and I love that challenge. And
you're always seeing some hiccup get in the way of the creative side.
Exactly.
Because that's what really Bookings Africa
is
solves.
about. So
that's really what the point you made last night that was so well made, which is the creative side and the production side need tools like bookingsafrica.com.
Exactly. So I selfishly created the platform as a resolutions to the issues that I faced in production.
Yes.
I travel all around Africa, and to reduce the cost, because obviously the business side of me kicks in, and I'm like, I need to reduce the cost and be able to shoot as many productions as possible throughout the year.
Yes.
If I'm stuck in a country trying to do video casting and trying to find a location and find the right talent and find the right crew, and that takes me a week or two, and then by the time we film and then get into post-production, that's a whole month.
Yes.
So now I can only do 12 big budget or 12 major productions in a year, and I want to be able to do 50.
Yes.
So how can I now reduce the time that I spend in sourcing the talent? And I was like, this needs to be automated.
Yes.
And I actually didn't think that I was going to be the one to develop the platform. I was hoping somebody else would do it.
Right.
Because I kind of doubted myself, because I just thought, you don't know anything about tech.
Yes.
What's a startup? What's the validation, minimum validation? What's your segmentation? What's all the buzzwords that you hear flying around? And I was just like, okay, I'll give you a little tech joke, right? And this is actually true. About a year ago, when I was developing the website, I was pitching to some founders, and one of these developers asked me, so what language is your website written in? And I was like, English?
Yes.
I was like, what do you mean? It's not going to be
English?
It's not going to be in Creole or Pidgin or or Arabic.
Yes, they want to hear Java or JavaScript or something like
that. JavaScript. I didn't have a clue what that was, and I was just like, oh wow. So I had to learn so much.
Yes, but let me just tell people, one of the things I did, which I'm not sure the other judges did, because I was actually judging these 5 different companies, of which, as I said, I think you were the most successful.
Thank you.
Which is one of the reasons we invited you back. Although I would have had the others on too, but the others were kind of esoteric and really different than yours, is the way I'll put it. But Bookings Africa solves a problem, and when you said I have an app, I literally downloaded the app in real time. I'm like one of your users now, and I was like, she's got an app and it works, and it's got like a 5-star or 6-star review. It had like a great review, and I said, she didn't even present on the slides, at least I didn't see it, the live demo of, hey, this app is operational. You were like, let me tell you what the need is and why there's a market and all the reasons why this should succeed. But the big point you didn't make, which we'll make here, is you actually got it done.
Yes.
You have real users with real suppliers doing real things on that site.
Generating revenue, getting booked.
Yes.
So I think I want to explain a bit more to your audience about what Bookings Africa is about. And then I can give you a little bit more of a... There's a little bit of a spiritual side to me about how I thought about Bookings Africa, but we'll get back to that. So as the issues that I faced as a producer, I decided to automate the process of finding the talent. So I launched the website. Well, I stepped away from my production company in 2018 because my brother and I owned the Film Factory production company together. So I sat him down in January 2018 and said, I registered this website, bookingsafrica.com, in 2016, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And I really believe that there's a need for this solution that I want to create. And of course, just like everybody else, he was just like, but you don't know anything about tech. And I was like, I know, but I still also think there's a genius part of me that can learn, so you're never too old to learn, right?
Of course.
And I spent the first 6 months studying everything possible about tech that I thought could actually get me to the point where I could launch a website.
Yes.
And then I found a CTO, kind of just, paid him ad hoc as and when.
Yes.
And I decided my first step, which I learned very quickly, was to prove your MVP,
yes.
right? I did a one-page registration, and I got all the database from the previous talent that I had used in my production company over the last decade. I sent all of them out an email, sent them out this one-page registration, and said, can you fill this out for me, like a little survey? Would you be interested if a platform like Bookings Africa existed?
Oh, that's smart. That's like early market testing. Very early.
Exactly. So I did that, and then I've got like 300 models and 200 voiceover artists and 150 photographers. And then I took that database to the ad agencies and the production houses, and I said, I've got this idea of a website that I want to build, but right now I'm still working on it.
Yes.
But in the meantime, I've got 700 people who have signed up, 300 models, 200 makeup artists.
Yes.
So for the next production job that you have, if you need a model, contact me, and I'll be able to send you my database. Or if you need a photographer, let me know. I'll send you my database with the portfolio. So I was doing it manually, and I started generating revenue.
Yeah, you were doing something that a lot of people get nervous about, which is that collection is really kind of your trade secret network.
Yes.
But you were turning it inside out and saying, I'm okay letting that network be enabled to people who need it.
Yeah.
But they'll use my platform, and everyone will win. Yes. I mean, that's an amazing sort of extension of entrepreneurship, just to say, I'm going to do something that opens up this data and makes it
I wanted
really
to harness
valuable.
it and monetize
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's simply what I did. And I needed, because from all this research and study that I've done in the tech space, that was kind of like, point 101.
Yes.
Validate your MVP. How do you? And I was just like, okay, what's my minimum segment? What's the minimum products that I can create? And how can I generate money from this? Because that's the easiest way for me to then go to an investor and say, this is now not an idea. I've actually validated it, and it's making me money.
Yes. So let me just pause here for a second, because lots of viewers, people that are listening to the show will say, well, isn't this really what LinkedIn already does, or isn't this really what some of these other connecting platforms like Upwork, and there's a bunch of them here in Silicon Valley. But in many ways, they're not really focused on the problem you're solving. No. It's too general, right?
Definitely.
They're way too general.
So the difference between like an Upwork or a Fiverr is, number one, they specifically are attractive for the, I'd say maybe like the post-production and the digital talent.
Yes.
So if you are I don't know, graphics illustrator or 3D animator.
Yes.
But now you would not go to Fiverr if you are in South Africa and you need a DJ for your birthday party.
Yes.
You will not go to Upwork if you are in Kenya and you need a photographer for your wedding.
Okay.
That's not where you go to find the talent.
Yes.
So that's where Bookings Africa comes in. So whether you need a location to film, I've got a videographer behind the camera right now. If you need to book him, that's the sort of place that you would go. And you can see, just like you want to book a hotel, you get to see the prices.
And the pictures.
You get to see the portfolio of work that they've done. You get to see ratings and reviews from other clients. And, of course, it's also instant payment as well. So I can also pay anyone, anywhere around the world instantly in any currency.
Nice. Wow. That's huge. Well, I was kind of curious. The one thing I was wondering, are you going to head in this direction, which is part of the speed of trust? People talk about how important trust is when you're hiring people, particularly gig workers, because they tend to sort of have odd hours and they don't like reporting to an office, and they're free spirits and all that. But do you think you have to eventually put video at the site? Is that going to happen? I mean, I didn't see any video when I went there, and I wondered, is that a component that's a must for something like this, where even just this little video we're doing, people get to know you a little bit, they get to understand where you came from, your mom, your dad, you know, that you've crossed essentially 2 continents, you've been living part of the time in the UK, part of the time in Africa and Nigeria. I mean, just that compression of when they get to meet you or talk to you on the phone, they're going to know so much more about you. Do you think that's necessary? That's what's going to make it happen?
For me as a founder to be on the site?
No, for the individuals, for the talent, yes.
It actually depends on the service that you're providing.
Okay.
I do believe if you're a DJ, for example, you need to have a SoundCloud or a YouTube link so people can actually listen to the work that you've done.
Yes.
I think you have to have a portfolio just to be on the site. So whether it's a video or if you're a model, you might want to put like a video of a runway catwalk that you've done. Or if you're just a billboard commercial model, you have to put like a picture up.
Right.
So it really depends on the type of service. If you're a voiceover artist, you've got to put an MP3 of your voice. How am I going to pick you and make an informed decision as a client if you don't have a portfolio? But to actually have a get-to-know-you kind of video element to it, I don't necessarily think that's necessary for authenticity at this stage, because we've done our validation in terms of verification and are you who you are, ID-wise. Okay. And then also with the more repetitive use of the platform, there's going to be ratings and reviews from previous clients, which you can actually filter a search filter and choose your talent that you want that way. And of course, like I said, they've all have a portfolio that showcases their work. If they are underperforming, so if on 3 consecutive instances, a talent gets rated 1 star.
That's too low.
They get taken off the platform.
Right.
So eventually we will have medium to high performing talent on Bookings Africa with time.
Yes.
And also with the clientele that we've had. So the website went live in April. The app went live about 5 weeks ago.
Okay.
So we are still pretty new. Yes. But I didn't mention this yesterday in my pitch, but I should have in hindsight. Coca-Cola, Unilever, they're some of the clients that have actually used the website and booked us for a lot of their billboards, for some of their social media ads. Yes, a lot of content they produce in-house as well, because it's more immediate, it's cheaper. And, procurement team, they're always looking for ways to save money.
Always.
So I always go straight. I don't even go to the marketing guys to say, hey, use my app. I go to the procurement guys and go, by the way, if all the production houses or your marketing guys come to you, you might want to compare prices on my platform, because if you need a photographer for your next billboard, you might want to book them. Rather than paying, I don't know, $10,000, you might be able to get a great one for $1,000.
So I'm curious, what is the geographic reach right now for you? Because you intend to be all of Africa, but it's hard to be all. Africa's 54 different countries with 54 different, arguably, political systems and 54 different cultures. Maybe that's not correct, and I know people
way
like
more than that.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say,
in Nigeria alone, we have like 30 cultures, 200 languages.
So tell me, your focus right now is mainly in West Africa and extending that way? Because one of the points that Dr. Toy just made, and we should leverage off of, is there should be a way to imagine replication across all these different regions. Right. But that's a challenge, right? That's a real challenge.
I'm currently operating in Nigeria, which is West Africa, South Africa, and Kenya.
Oh, so you got
I'm in 3 countries already.
That's pretty big, right?
And by January, I will also expand to Ghana, Ivory Coast, and Senegal. And the plan is to be in 20 countries by this time next year.
So that's huge. I mean, that's a huge statement. That alone, even that you're that far along, because I thought you were going to say, yes, we're pretty much limited to just West Africa, but you're far beyond that.
Oh, no. I'm doing it because I started off trying to resolve an issue for the creative sector. I'll say the arts.
Yes.
I looked at the biggest hubs, the production and entertainment hubs across Africa, and Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya are the top 3. Wow. So they were the first 3 countries that I wanted to penetrate.
Okay.
And then I'm now looking at Francophone speaking countries, because of the next partnership that I'm trying to secure with Canal Plus, and they are opening up. They're a massive TV station in France, and they're opening up a head office in Ivory Coast.
Yes.
So I'm waiting for them to open up their office so I can figure out what street they're on, and I'm going to find an office right next door to them.
Yes, that's smart.
Exactly. So for me, the main thing is once you can locally adapt to the app just by language.
Yes.
And the partnership, the main pain point was cross-country payments.
Yes.
So how do I pay somebody in Rwanda? How do I pay somebody in Kenya, Kenyan shillings, or somebody in South Africa or in rand?
Right, because there is no national currency across the entire continent.
There isn't.
Except, I guess, if you take crypto, you could say, well, crypto is becoming that, right?
It is, but it's not day-to-day usage for the local for local talent.
Yes.
It's still quite an advanced method of payment. Even we probably use QR code a lot more than now to say crypto.
Okay.
And I wanted it to be something that's seamless to everybody's lifestyle. So if you got a bank account, most people do, or you can get paid via your mobile phone as well, mobile money payments.
Right, in Kenya in particular.
M-Pesa, exactly.
M-Pesa, yeah.
So I wanted something that was going to be seamless with whatever you do already in terms of payment, right?
That's smart.
And that's why I partnered up with Bancor.
Okay.
They are basically the first payment gateway that also have an international money transfer license.
Okay.
So now I can pay anybody in the world instantly with the tap of a button.
Nice.
So once I was able to overcome that massive pain point, then scaling across the continent isn't an issue at all, because it's still the same problems that we face. Whether you're in Morocco, whether you're in Madagascar, where do you get a barber? Where do you get a comedian? Where do you get a videographer? Where do you get... You know, you might want in Morocco, they're famous for belly dancing, and you might decide, I want to go to Morocco for, I don't know, your 50th birthday party.
There you go.
And you want
I wish. That was a while ago.
and you want, a bunch of belly dancers to come and entertain the crowd.
Yes.
Where do you go to start booking them? You've got to maybe call your hotel or call somebody that you know, and it's just a bit arduous and it's just inefficient. So it's just basically whatever jobs that you can pay for per hour or for a day or for half a day, you should be. I want to be able to have that job available on that service available on Bookings Africa, so anyone around the world can book that service.
So I'm curious, you've gone pretty far on relatively small investment. If I remember what you said last night, the initial seed capital was very tiny.
$250?
Yeah, it was really not very much money. I mean, I don't know if that's family, friends, whether Dr. Toy's firm put the money in.
So I've raised two. So I had my founders round, which was when I bootstrapped family and friends, and that was like $80,000. That was in 2018.
Yes.
When I was proving the MVP and all that, and then for the app, I raised my pre-seed with Dr. Toy, the Unicorn Group, in August.
Okay.
So that was 250.
Okay, so you...
I'm very modest.
I mean, lots of people would not even get started without imagining here in Silicon Valley at least $1 million or $2 million to get started. This is the statement that
I'm in the wrong market.
No, but I think it's a good point, because it's a point that we were making with Dr. Toy, which is small capital goes a long, long way with African entrepreneurs, whether they're frugal or they enable things to happen. The scale of what's needed to propel a new business is like 1/10
of what it's needed,
of what it's in the U.S. Now, maybe there's just a lower cost of living and all that jazz, but you've created a professional app and website that's just as good as anything here in the U.S. that I've seen. So it's kind of a statement that then if that can scale, so obviously you're trying to draw in as much talent, which is free for them. They can do that for free. And then trying to draw in the demand side, which are the people that need the talent. And then presumably you get a commission.
Get booked, get paid. So I only get paid once you get booked.
Right, which is a beautiful statement. And is that a published percentage, or does it change over time, or how does it work?
It's 20% flat rate. And then in Nigeria, I've partnered up with the largest bank, Access Bank. They have over 29 million customers.
Nice.
So now the incentive is, if you're a talent, you're getting paid into an Access Bank account. I only keep 10% commission. So it's actually an incentive for you to, if you don't have an Access Bank account, to open one up, or if you do have one, because most people in Nigeria actually have like 3 or 4 banks. If you don't, if you're not using it actively, then you decide to use open up or.
But why are you discounting that? Is the bank giving you some incentive for giving that discount? Because that's a great deal for Access Bank, right?
Well, they're going to do a lot of push marketing for me.
Okay,
so that reduces my cost of customer acquisition and brand awareness.
Oh, that's good.
So each month there's going to be newsletters, they're doing billboards, they're doing SMS.
Nice. Beautiful.
So that starts off in January. And also the 10% difference, the loss, they actually pay me back that every quarter.
Yes.
And they've also paid an exclusivity fee for me to not do this with any bank in Nigeria for 1 year.
So I'm curious, when you look at the numbers in terms of what you actually believe the potential is, you already have revenues. Yeah. You're early days, but when you look out and you look at what this could grow to, say, in the next 5 years, where does your mind take you in looking at those numbers? How do you think about it?
Okay.
Just big picture. Okay. I know this is not a prediction and we're not making a securities offering, but just generally speaking, how do you see it?
In 5 years, the aim is to have at least 1 million active users daily across the continent.
Which is probably a small fraction of your addressable market, right?
Yes, that's me being very conservative. I'd say you're probably looking at it should be easily about 10 million across the continent. If we're addressing
10 million of revenue that is
10 million users daily.
10 million users daily.
Yeah.
And what kind of revenue will that generate in your sort of expectation of things? Big picture.
I'd say right now the average booking is about, let's say, $200.
Okay.
So if you say $200, 10 million a day of 200 bookings.
Okay.
Math.
So you're
it's comfortable.
I mean, you're talking north of $200 million. Yeah. If it was just 1 million users. Mm-hmm. And you're saying this could get to revenue of like $2 billion. Yeah. Of which you get your 10 or 20%.
20%.
So if we do the quick math, we'd say $200 million at 10% would be 20 million in revenue. At 20% would be 40 million in revenue. But if you hit that 2 billion number, which would be amazing, that's like 200 million to 400 million in revenue to your company. And I don't know how the overhead grows and the cost of infrastructure and so on, but I imagine you being the frugal person you are, there's going to be a lot of profit out of that.
That's
a lot of profit.
Generally in doing business. No?
I mean, it is. Do you say to yourself, "Wow, this could be something that becomes so big that you don't know what to do with all the money," or have you thought about that? Have you said, "Well, I'm going to replow it into other entrepreneurs, and I have other ideas for other businesses"?
My focus right now is just in making it work.
Yes.
And giving people the opportunity to create a sustainable career at the tap of a button with the device they have in the palm of their hand, and helping to make an impact, whether it's economically, socially, socioeconomically, because there are a variety of things that the long-term goal is, yes, of course, revenue and making profit is one of them high up there, but also the impact that I want to leave in the continent. And basically, I don't want to say, I want to be the savior of unemployment in Africa, but I want people to be able to value whatever skills that they naturally have or that they've spent a bit of time to develop. Your intellectual property, you should be able to monetize that. And once Bookings Africa is known for that, I think the world's our oyster. I think I really want people to be valued, especially Africans. So you coming into the continent, whoever you need, you now have a platform that you can book them. And I just want to spend a lot of time getting that to work and getting that information out there. And I think once that happens, profit will be inevitable. So I don't really focus on that. For me, the socioeconomic impact is also for the gig economy right now, because they're informal. There's a lot of things they don't have access to. They don't have access to loans. So the quality of life and the ways you can expand your business is very limited. So if you are a makeup artist, you're not going to be able to get a loan to start your own makeup studio. Or if you're a DJ, you're not going to be able to get a loan to start a DJ school. But with the credit history that we will be creating every time you make a booking, now with a partnership with Access Bank, they will give you a loan, a preferential loan, because they know that this is what you do to make a living.
So they have something in the U.S. We have all these FICO scores and other scores. In Africa, that's probably less developed. In the reality, that's probably stale information comparatively to the valuable information you have, which is this person is really active on the site, really is booking gigs, really makes things happen. And they're reliable because look at all these 5- and 6-star. I guess it's 5-star.
5-star
right?
ratings.
Uber kind of set that up. It's like 5 stars everywhere. 5-star is pretty much the highest that you can get. And if people consistently get 5 stars, that probably means they're doing really well.
Exactly.
Right.
And because also the CBN, the Central Bank of Nigeria, have also, they've given banks a mandate that they must disperse, I can't remember the exact amount, but I think it's like $300 million or something within the next few years, especially in the creative sector.
Okay.
And Access Bank being one of the banks that actually has the majority of that money.
Yes.
The big issue that they have is how to disperse the funds to the creative sector that is largely made up of the informal sectors.
Yes.
So they don't have any credit history to say, if I give you money, how do I get it back?
So
now by getting bookings on our app, we're able to resolve the issues for the bank.
So I'm curious, beyond doing simple things like here and last night, are you thinking immensely bigger, like I need to get on the TED Talk stage with a national audience because you have a lot of presence. You can do really well. It doesn't have to be a pitch about your company. It could be more about solving the problem of the gig worker in Africa who really doesn't know how to market themselves, because you become the marketing platform for that person. You're the marketing platform, you're the booking platform, you're the profit platform, you're operating. You're like all these things that they would never have had access to if you didn't create it. And you created something that enables so many other people to become productive.
That's it.
Right? I mean, that's an amazing
Whatever your
statement.
passion is, you should be able to unlock it and monetize it at the tap of a button.
I mean, that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
I want to congratulate you for doing it. By the way, you are actually raising money because even though you've got the Unicorn Group behind you and Dr. Toy behind you, he's brought you to Silicon Valley in part to meet various VCs, super angel funds, investors. And you're early days still, so there's a great opportunity, right?
Definitely. You want to jump in early,
I'm
right?
just kind of curious. What are you calling it? The seed round? Or what
seed round,
You're calling it the seed round. And what's the goal of the seed round, roughly?
I'd like $1 million so that I can expand into the 20 countries by Q4 2020 and also expand my team to 30.
And what's your team now? What's 8. The size? 8 people.
There are 8 people between Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya. I have country managers and business development managers in those countries. Right. Then also the tech that I need to develop as we expand into all the various countries. And also right now we've got 20 services that we're offering. I want to have 50.
Wow.
So I now want to move beyond just the creative sector. So if you are a fitness instructor, a yoga instructor, you charge per hour. You should be able to get booked on the platform. I've also partnered up with NG Careers, which is the largest job recruitment platform in Nigeria. They have about 1 million users a day. Now, I looked at the data that they've been able to provide me so far. And the majority of the people are accountants. They're in the legal space, and they're constantly looking for full-time jobs, but there's no jobs. So as a micro SME, who are the majority of the users of the platform, majority of the talent on the platform, I might be a hairdresser, and I want to get my books done at the end of the financial year, right? So that I can maybe be able to get a loan. Now the plan is I'll be able to onboard an accountant, and you can then pay for them per hour. Or get a legal advice, and I just need an MOU contract looked over, and I could just pay for that per hour. So there's a lot of potentials, and all these guys have certificates, or they've been to university, so they've actually got degrees to back up their experience as well, their professional experience. So that's why I want to expand to over 50 services within and over 20 countries within in the year 2020, and build my team to about 30. And of course, really deep delve into the technology. And right now I have about 16 partners. I'd like to, like Access Bank and NG Careers, I'd like to have about 40 by the end of 2020. So that's
ambitious goals. Really super ambitious,
home, no?
but it's good. but what is when you look at what the next million will do in terms of taking a portion of the company, rough valuation? I just want to try to enable people to compare to Silicon Valley. where do you think you are and where do you think you'll land? Will you end up giving 10% of the company away, 20% of the company? Are you thinking about that?
Yes, so I wouldn't want to give away more than about 12.5 right now for the 1 million, because it's a value cap of about 7.
Okay.
So I'd say about 12.5% will be my max, but I'll be comfortable with
because
the 10.
In Silicon Valley, had you accomplished as much as you've accomplished here, you probably would be raising more like 5 to 10 million, just to give you some data about Silicon Valley.
Let's edit that out. I want to raise 15 million.
We're not going to edit it because this is a real show. But I want people to understand, because this is what a lot of investors say to me. Why do the entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley think that their business is already worth 50 or 60 million? And they're right, because, like, take your opportunity. You have a larger addressable market in a bigger green field, in a place that you're already, producing value for real customers who can be verified. It's not just an idea. It's not just slideware. There's a real app, real website, real supply, real demand, real revenue, real partnerships, all those things. And your valuation is reasonable by Silicon Valley standards. Now, Africa may be a different drill, but the reality is, for lots of people, they want to understand, when you're doing this sort of international investment, how do you think about the metrics in different countries? And Africa is really one of the most beautiful places for people to still get value for their investment.
Oh, definitely. If you're an investor, I think that is basically where you're going to be able to get 10x return on investment really, really quickly in a short space of time.
I would think you would do better than that if the numbers are anywhere near the kinds of longer-term numbers. It might be a 5-year hike to get there, but I have to believe that people will do far, far better, particularly if you are growing it in a way that you seem to be very careful with how you spend the money. So it's not like this crazy, we're going to do this gigantic set of TV ads. You seem to know how to reach your customer.
So when it comes to my valuation, I have been told it's conservative. I'll let you into a little secret. I've never taken out a loan. I don't own a credit card. In Nigeria, we're a cash-based economy. So if you want to get a house, you pay cash for it. If you want to buy a car, you pay cash for it. So I've never taken out a loan.
They put their money in a mattress or something? Where do you hide it, right? Gold bars or something? What do you do with it?
Well, you have your debit card, but it's actual your
real money.
Real
money,
so I just coming from that mentality, and then I've only been in the tech space like a year, and then I just felt like there's this doubt in me, like, oh my gosh, if I take $10 million of somebody's money, I don't hit the numbers, and my exit, I'm going to owe them, and and then I start panicking, and I'm like, no, let me just do something that I feel like it's conservative and it's realistic, and that's why I'm always really quite conservative, and at the same time, I still think it's very achievable based on, even from my pre-seed round, the ambition that I have is not just only I don't just look for investors that are just going to give me cash. I'm also looking for people that are going to give value as well, which is why the Unicorn Group were very pivotal and instrumental in my development and the growth of my development and the speed at which I have developed. I mean, without them, I wouldn't be in Silicon Valley right now. I'd be talking to you. I wouldn't have met Mark White.
All the doors start opening.
And they have offices in a lot of countries across Africa. So now I can just set up shop in Ghana, in Ivory Coast, and not have to think about the real estate cost. And think about. So there's a lot of overheads that are also minimized. There's a lot of doors and a lot of potentials that they've opened up the possibilities, my eyes to all these possibilities. And I'm, like I said, I'm a solution provider. So I'm just like, oh wait, okay, how can I, use this information that I've got? How can I plug it in here? And I'm very good at, networking and delivery.
And you've stayed excited throughout this period, because a lot of people find it distressing trying to raise money. They kind of think it's, difficult, dirty work to be talking about money and talking about numbers. They just want to do what they do and they know how to do. But you're really excited about it and you're happy about it, which is great. I love that.
I feel like if I can convince somebody to see the potential of the business, then I feel like, oh, wow. And not even just a Nigerian or an African, somebody from Silicon Valley who's like as experienced as you are, and then you've also got the same belief and the same, drive that I'm like, wait, I must be doing something right. It's like validation.
Yes, it's validation.
So that's what gets me really excited.
Yes.
But apart from that, I feel like I know that this is a problem. I know this is a pain point.
Yes.
And I know that Bookings Africa is solving it. So I never really get bogged down by people who don't see the vision or people who say no.
Nice.
When I started raising my founders round, even, I had like all my family and friends, and everybody's like, it's a great idea.
Yes.
The Hollywood no. Great idea. Good on you.
Did you get your dad to sign up to the program? I mean, is he one of your providers?
My dad actually passed away in 2013, bless him. And I started the company. I registered the domain in 2016.
Okay.
And I know that he would have definitely given me everything.
Oh, he would have been all over this.
Oh yeah,
right?
he would have probably be here with me right now taking pictures.
Nice.
But I have his energy. Everybody says that. I always think that this is where I think I mentioned a bit earlier on that I've got the spiritual aspect to me, that I feel that I've been able to train my mindset to be able to attract what I need and what I should have and deserve in my life.
Nice.
Obviously, nothing ever goes your way 100%, but even when it doesn't, I still feel like I'm falling forward.
Beautiful.
So I'm still ahead of where I would have been, than just standing still. So even if I fall, I still try and fall forward.
Yes, well,
and I feel like I said that's still some type of progress, right? Just get back up and keep moving again.
Yes.
I don't really try and let things hold me back, and I feel like the real secret about how I came up with Bookings Africa was actually. I can't believe I'm telling you this on the podcast.
It's okay.
It was actually a dream.
Oh,
so
beautiful.
I was frustrated. I had a client who was looking for a location in Nigeria that just didn't exist.
Okay.
And I was shooting a commercial. I was producing it. And I was frustrated because they were frustrated and I couldn't find what they needed. And I got home from my office and I fell asleep on my sofa and I heard a full TV commercial. If you need a filming location, equipment rental, models, whatever you need for your production needs.
In the dream? Or in real life?
I thought it was a TV commercial.
You thought it was was it real or was it a dream?
It was. Now I know it was a dream.
I
woke up and I thought, oh, the TV's on. This is a great This is a great website that's going to solve all the production issues that I have. And the TV was off, and I thought, okay, Nigeria, they cut out the lights sometimes. So I was like, do the lights just go off? No, the TV isn't on. Okay, so I remember the name of the website, bookingsafrica.com. Let me go and see what they have available, and maybe I can find this location that I'm looking for my client. Went on the website, January 2016, domain available to purchase.
Oh man! So you had like a spiritual connection there.
Yeah.
You had a message from above through your dream
just
while you were asleep,
me the answer.
saying this is something you should do, and then you took action on it.
It took me 2 years.
Well, still, and you took action on it.
It validated that it was the solution.
Yes.
From 2016 to 2018, 90% of the issues that I faced as a producer, I just kept getting that I kept playing the TV commercial in my head, like, this was the solution to this problem.
Yes.
And then I started asking a lot of other producers and a lot of other agencies, and then
I
a lot
wish
of
it existed.
I
wish it existed.
And I was like, if this website if this was the website that actually was available, would you use it? What are the biggest pain points that you have right now? So I was doing a lot of research, and I thought, okay, do you know what? From the talent side to the client side, this is the solution. And that's why in 2018 I thought, okay, do you know what? I've got to just try it. And if it works, it works. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. But at least I would have peace of mind that at least I tried.
That's beautiful. So how will people who are interested in learning more reach you? They can go to bookingsafrica.com, but that's just the site. How do they actually connect with you? Is there an email address that's best, or what do they do?
My personal email address is my first name, Fade, Fade, at Bookings, with an S, bookingsafrica.com.
Okay.
And then, of course, my personal social media, it's whether you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, it's just Fade Ogunro, my full name.
Which is Ogunro.
Fade Ogunro.
So, Fade, thank you for coming. I think
before we go...
Yes.
Sorry, I just need to make one more point about expanding.
Yes, go ahead.
This might entice a few more investors whilst we're at it, right? So Bookings. I
think you're already oversubscribed at this point. So
in 5 years, right? Apart from the plans that I have, I've also I took the liberty to register Bookings Asia.
Oh, nice.
Bookings USA, American Bookings, Bookings South America, Bookings Britain, Bookings Iran, Bookings Mexico.
Wow, so you got a really big world picture here.
Yeah, I own all of those domains.
Beautiful.
So watch this space. I may franchise it out. I may just make it one big space. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Well, there's a lot of opportunity, but you're thinking really big, and obviously that's the way Dr. Toy thinks, and some of him has rubbed off on you.
People say that. No, people are just like, the two of you are actually like Tom and Jerry. Like you're just a match made in heaven. Like I'm like, I didn't know anybody was as crazy as me. He's actually proving me wrong.
He's a good example.
He's really ambitious.
I mean, he's the hope merchant, and you're the hope realized. You're like the realization of that hope. So I want to congratulate you on everything that you have done. I think it's an amazing story. As I said, she really won last night against 4 very able competitors that all were A-class presentations. She was the only woman, which was a plus for her. She was the person that was best dressed, and she did give a very compelling presentation, which she's now expanded on. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We will definitely have you back. We'll definitely visit you when we're in Nigeria, which hopefully will happen next year.
I'd love to.
And that will be a lot of fun to kind of see your operation. And so I'm Jack Russo. This is the Valley Current. You can reach me at Computer Law Group, jrusso@computerlaw.com, 650-327-9800. I'm happy to introduce you to Fade and to answer questions. And we'll look forward to seeing this success play out. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Tune in next time on the Valley Current.